Hey, what's good, people? You're wondering why there's a four-camera set. What the hell is going on? This is still the Option Podcast, but I'm going a four-way camera for the first time because this episode's important, okay? That's Ashley Clarke, that's Collin Henry, that's Leon Blazer, and the episode starts right now. Hey, welcome. This is episode 191, maybe 192.
Wow.
Who knows? Who cares? Along with Ashley Clarke, along with Collin Henry and Leon Blazer, I am Jason DeBeas, and this is The Option. Welcome aboard, people.
Iron
Hello.
Man, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for
So,
having me.
so the cool thing is this podcast is dedicated to exclusively club coaching. It's interactive, so it's not an interview. That means the other coaches get to ask the other coaches questions because I'm sure you guys having representing different regions will definitely have questions for each other. So let's do a little introduction. I'm going to start with myself first. I'm Jason DeBeas. I'm the head volleyball coach of the 16s Los Angeles Volleyball Club. Jason Olive's the director here in LA.
Hi, I am Ashley Clarke. I currently coach for Surfside Volleyball Club in Los Angeles, led by Haley Blanchard, and I coach the 18 Gold team.
18s?
18s.
Awesomeness. Hey, what's up, peeps? I'm Collin Henry from New York City. I'm the executive director for All Star Empire Volleyball Club out of Bronx, Riverdale, and New York City, and also the executive director for our Western Connecticut Volleyball Club, second year out of New Milford, Connecticut.
God bless. Wow. Busy dude. He is Jamaican.
Dang, yeah.
Listen, all you got is two jobs. You only have two. What? How old are you?
Only two
How
for
old are you,
now.
boy? 18. and last but certainly not least, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Leon Blazer here out of Houston, Texas. I'm the executive director for Houston Stars and Katy Stars Volleyball Club. We just started a second location this year. So started this out as a little tiny club, and now we're 35 something teams. And yeah, I've coached every age from 12 through 18s. And so just trying to help the club grow and be successful. But yeah, the greatest challenge I had was going from Division One coaching straight into coaching 12. So it was like, whoa, but
Nice.
yeah, just love being a part of club volleyball and just
Yeah.
love being able to say I do this for a living. So.
Well, you come highly recommended by Eric Anderson. So, any friend of Eric is a friend of mine. Eric Anderson, former USA coach, former USA Juniors coach, one of the handful of African American coaches we have out there. And little thing about Eric, since we're giving him a shout out,
Yeah.
Eric, from episodes 40 to 50, I had 8 African American coaches on. Players
Oh,
and coaches.
man.
Like 8 of the 10 guests from 40 to 50, including 44, because 44th president's Barack Obama. So
Nice.
I did Dane Blanton because he was the first black
Yeah.
Olympic gold medalist for volleyball, for indoor or outdoor for that matter. So,
You put you
so
put you put some thinking into this thing, huh?
yeah, I did. No, Patrick Dietz, you know him, Colin, right? You know
Yeah.
Patrick Dietz. He was one of them. Chris Austin, probably, when you're at Santa Barbara, I'm sure they played Irvine a bunch of times. So yeah, you know Chris Austin, right?
Sure do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, just a great conglomerate. Greg Faulkner, we all know. I mean, he's the international man of mystery, right? Carl France, now the coach at Fairleigh Dickinson University. All right, so let's get to the nitty gritty. I want to talk about sales pitches, right? Because you're 4 different clubs and the 4 different levels of popularity, the 4 different regions. And my first question is, and it might be a harder question for some of you, but I'll give it to Ashley because it might be an easy question for her for Surfside. What's like a sales pitch that would make some of the kids come try out for your club? Like you were formerly with SCVC and you're now with Surfside, and those are 2 clubs where it kind of sells itself because they have a long-standing reputation. But give me 1 or 2 things when someone's like, my parents are like, I'm thinking about going to Surfside. What do you tell them?
So for me, I'm in the business to help kids and their families find the best fit for them and for what they're looking for in their athletic development or their future. So for me, I try to really sell myself as a coach, my philosophy. One of the biggest ones being process over product and the importance of developing and learning versus focusing on the wins. I think that's a byproduct when we create an environment that is learning and growing. So for me, I kind of just show them who I am, both good, bad, and otherwise, and then let them decide what they want to, whether they want to partake or whether they want to go somewhere else.
Right. So Collin,
Mm.
Collin,
Aye.
yeah. So Collin, have a very young club, and I remember you were doing just clinics with New York City Juniors and New York City All Stars, and now it's a club. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you the question in two phases because yours is a unique set of circumstances. So one, my first question is, how did it turn into a club? And two, how's fishing for players going?
All right. So it basically started, like you said, with me being at juniors, but my perspective goes a little wider than just kids that are playing club volleyball. I think more community based. And the minute I cross over into New York City community and step out of New York City and step out of the higher level income region, I'm stepping into a region where kids shy away from volleyball because of finances. And believe it or not, there's so many kids that are so talented in that department. And one of the reasons why I ended up starting a club was because, my philosophy is more general based, and I tried to get every single kid as much as possible involved, even the ones that just cannot even fathom the idea of playing club because of how expensive it is, especially these days. So I kind of branch off with the idea that I will not look at a single parent's or a single kid purse or checkbook until I am done with my tryouts and all the kids get offers and all the kids are accepted. And then once they get accepted into the club, then now it becomes my responsibility to find sponsors and do fundraising and make sure that these kids get what I promised them that they will get. So the whole idea of me starting a club is strictly based on helping and reaching as far as possible because someone did that for me in Jamaica.
Amen.
And I had to
Amen.
make a promise that
Amen.
like
That's
someone reach
beautiful.
out and pull me in and said, listen, man, it's not necessarily about the money. It's about people that you surround yourself with that can help you. And as long as that person are willing to stick their neck out and find means and ways to help you to be successful and succeed, then, it carries more value to me than a kid that can just sign a check
Hmm.
because they can sign a check the same way to go to college. The kids that are coming to my program, most of them cannot sign a check to play volleyball. They cannot sign a
So it's
check to
not
go to
yelling at
college,
you.
but they're going to Columbia and Stanford and all those places. And then they look back, and said, if this dude did not reach out and open his door for me, I would not be in this position.
Amen.
So that's my motivation. That's what motivated me to start my own program. And we've been going now for 15, 16 years,
Yeah.
which is
Wow.
why, I now extend into Connecticut because I realized that they're having the same problem up there. And they had the same conversation with me. How can we get these kids involved? What is it that you did? What can we do? So now that we're settled here and I have Linford working with me, it makes my job a lot easier. So now I can extend into other areas and train other people to do the same thing.
It is. You've the work you've done there, and I've been looking from afar, and I got to see some of it before I moved. Just incredible stuff in New York City. And Leon spent some time, a little time everywhere. Leon, we have this old saying. My next question to you, but I want to say we have this old saying. In New York City, when there are talented players on the West Coast, it's the players. When there are
Right.
talented players in the Midwest, it's the coaching. And when there are talented players on the East Coast, it's the immigration population. What do you call a good East Coast player? Immigrant.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Think about when you
it's
play for
serious.
Queens College, how many of those kids were American?
Hey man, we went to play out in Southampton and we have people waving American flags, cheering USA, USA. Okay, because there were no American. Well, we had two Americans on the team and they were
Yeah.
on the bench.
Yep. There you go. Hey, Americans. Hey, we make good cheerleaders too. Leon, so you're with Houston Stars, right? And you're in a region, if not a state, that has made juniors volleyball brought new meaning to the term competitive and gladiator pits. All right, maybe someone in California pissed off someone in Texas that has oil money, but something happened the last 10 years where you go to nationals and every finals has a Texas team in it, from Pipeline to you can name them. Am I right? Yeah, it's crazy.
100%. I mean, we go. So I'm originally from Seattle, so like I remember when I was coaching Puget Sound region, we go to the Spokane qualifier, and like every time you saw a Texas team, you're just like,
That's your
you
ass,
know, it's
yeah.
like there's this target on their back because you're like the Texas teams. They go every year. We're sitting there saying, what are the qualifiers we can go to? We go to the Northeast qualifier in Pennsylvania. We go to Spokane. We go. I mean, everywhere we go, and it's just the Texas teams are everywhere, and they're picking up bids left and right, USA tournaments. I mean, it's just, but it's hard. You go to the Lone Star Classic in Dallas. I mean, you just know that's just a rec tournament. Like you're not winning anything there because it's just competition.
Right. Yeah, the Lone Star tournament is like, I forget about it.
That's like the Las Vegas Classic.
Yeah,
the Red Rock. Excuse me.
Red Rock and Lone Star are on a virtual equilibrium. That is just that is insane. So my question to you, Houston Stars. Parents are like, there's 432. There's James Barker. James Barker drives all the way to Midland 2.5 hours a day. Every day, that's 5 hours total, right? Back and forth. This guy cares. He's got a competitive club. Then you got Pipeline, who's pretty good. Then you got I forgot there's just so many.
Texas Advantage.
Yeah, Texas Advantage. There's so many on indoor and the beach. 692 has a really good, and 692 has a ridiculously good beach team. I mean, I coached them in the summer and I met him in the finals for every age group and lost every single finals on center court in Hermosa Beach. I remember that well. So, what are you telling parents, for you as a coach, that reflect upon yourself and the club and the sport of volleyball, that makes a kid say, I want to play for this guy and I want to play for this club?
Yeah, something unique about us is just, it's funny how many parents still come up with us. So there's about 70, I think it was 77 clubs last year just in Houston alone. There's 20,000 players in the Lone Star region. So it's a juggernaut down here. And so when they look at that, there's a lot of options they can go to. And the number 2 club in the country is only 5 miles down the road from us. So if a parent walks in and says, I want my kid playing an open national championship, and I say, hey, Skyline right down the road, we're not going to satisfy that need for your kid. But what we are going to do is the people that come in and say, aren't you just that small club, like on the corner? We still have kind of that small club feel where you feel like it's family. Like year one, every parent had my cell phone, 9 o'clock, we're texting back and forth. Like, I love this family environment kind of thing. And now we're 400 athletes, the number 4 largest club in the city. It's like, they don't have my cell phone anymore because that'd be crazy. But, it's amazing still the environment that's been created where we have players and families that say, man, this is a culture that I want to be a part of. So we're not selling the open national championship, but what we're selling is we're going to take your kid, no matter where they're at, 5'7", feeling like they're getting pushed out aside, getting dropped in the top clubs. I'm like, get in the gym and let me train you how to be where do you want to go? What's your goal in life? We're going to get you there. So it goes along with our coaches too that walk in and say, hey, I can't do anything with this team. There's no talent here. And I said, well, your title is coach. And coach means you got to teach these kids how to be something great. So love what it is that we created, because I came from one of the big clubs when I first moved to Houston before I started Houston Stars. And after my first season, we won like half our matches. And I was like, man, this was awesome. Because what we're starting to create is a culture where it's the coaches come in. In 9 years, I haven't lost a single coach to another club. So that's a big testament for what we do. Coaches don't leave once they get here, And so,
God bless.
And that's just, it's like, for me as a director,
look at Collin like, wait a minute. Collin said, how did you do that?
I just need to make sure that everyone that's listening heard something that you said, teach. That is such a big part of coaching, that my philosophy is teach first and then coach later.
Interesting.
Okay. It doesn't matter who is in the gym. Once you're in the gym in front of a kid, you're teaching them.
All right.
Okay. You don't have time to coach. You're in college or you're playing in the NBA or you're playing professionally, then go coach. Go watch tape, go screen and figure out how you're going to beat a team. Okay. You're here to develop kids and talent, and it doesn't matter who the kid is, whatever the height, race. Once that kid is in the gym, Your job is to teach them
Yep.
every single aspect of volleyball.
Yeah.
There's nothing in volleyball that you can just get up and go do without learning it.
Amen. Well, for LA Volleyball Club, I'm not going to talk about myself too much, but I'll just say in two letters, J-O. Okay, J.O. is Jason Olive. Jason Olive is this guy that had a foundation that basically brought homeless kids from Compton and South Central to the beach and teaching them beach volleyball a few years ago. Like he had a foundation that was very much like Collin said. These kids don't even think a club because their parents can't even afford it. So he comes up to me and he says he's got this club where they arrange scholarships for certain kids who can't afford it and this and that. And you have a complete Los Angeles volleyball experience. You have kids from the South Bay. You have kids from in greater Los Angeles area. You got kids from Culver City. You got a kid from South Central. And without getting into their backstories, I will say this. You have kids in that club that have a certain backstory, but when they're in the gym, they look like they live in Manhattan Beach. Their eyes are wild. The sisterhood is there and everyone welcomes them. And I listen to some of the stories Jason says, and he keeps saying, girls like that are the reason why I coach club. Girls like that are the reason why I coach club. And Collin's going to have a big amen in a minute. And I'll give you the floor back, Collin. But girls like that are the reason why I coach club. I mean, in secret, and you'll love this one, Leon. In secret, I think the real reason why he made a club is because his daughter came of age and wanted to make sure she ended up playing D1 somewhere. Collin's got a daughter. Colin's got a daughter that's going to end up playing D1. She's an absolute beast. And Jason Olive's daughter, Kayani, I'm coaching 16s, and she... for CIFs, there was Division II, but they won Division II in states. They made like quarterfinals, so not bad for, Division II where it's a one-hitter team.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about having a girl like that, and I'll shut up about players because we're talking about coaching. But there's something to be said about having a player where the whole team knows it's going to her. And she gets the kill anyway. Right.
It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So Leon,
especially
to get that
New
top
York.
player, and this thing I saw with at the top club, to get a top player in the gym, and in the club says like, hey, they're here, so we don't need to do anything with them. Or that's kid on the top of the song because it's like you're going to be great just because of who you are. You're 6'2", you can touch 10'8", like you're going to be great because of that. You can be all world
Greater
if I actually pour my life into you. So I mean, like no kid's exempt from that, I mean, it's just that's just how we've always been. But top to bottom, the kid that walks in, that like we had a kid that was a 14, came in. I thought she was like 12 because she was like developed late. She couldn't get the serve over the net. And I said, well, let me put down my second 12s team. We'll build this thing up. And all of a sudden, the mom's like, well, no, I think she was like 14 years old or 15 at the time. I was like, oh, I don't have a team for you, but we allowed her to keep coming in. She ended up playing on the beach and then ended up going and playing at a college, playing beach volleyball, But it's like so many clubs are going to say to that kid, we don't have a spot for you. See you later. This isn't for you. But it's like, hey, I got this. If you're willing to try, then we're not going to give up on you. And it's like so many success stories. But yeah, back to Jason, this is why we do it. It's those kids, those stories that come back and, just
all kinds of stories, right, Ashley?
So many.
Right, Ashley? So many stories to tell. We're not gonna let a bunch of men talk over the woman here, okay? Especially a woman of your powerful personality.
What?
Yeah, what's
I was about to ask you about the same story because I'd love to hear what you got to say about what we've been talking about.
Well, first of all, I love what you're doing up there in New York because, I'm getting the feeling, especially where we are right now, that, volleyball seems to be making a move. Club volleyball seems to be making a move that it's more about money than it is about serving the kids. And I think it's really hard. Yeah, it's a business, but you're in business to serve the kids and the families, to teach them, not to just pad your pocketbook and to get as many teams and players as you can and stuff like that. So for me, I love when coaches are looking at the value that volleyball or the value of being in a good, positive culture can add to their lives. Because as you guys know, there's so much disconnection right now. There's so many mental health problems out there. And in my opinion, volleyball is one of those avenues that if the coach and the leader can create an environment that's safe and secure and learning and positive, then we can help on some level alleviate some of those pressures those kids are feeling, both in themselves and in their communities at large. So I think it's great. And I mean, shout out to you, Leon, for keeping coaches for 9 years. Like, that is absolutely incredible, because I feel like it gets harder and harder every year to pour into the kids because of all of the nonsense that happens with the parents and the admin and the we're not winning enough or da 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 da. And it's like, well, first of all, it's not just about winning. Second of all, you got to take care of your coaches. And if you hire a coach, this is my take. I'm a big, if you hire someone to do a job, let them do the job. And if you don't want them to do the job the way that they want to do it, then you either need to not hire them or give them a list of how you want to handle whatever the situations are.
And guys, and Leon, I'm going to present the question to you, because that's a very good answer, because that's segue to the next question. Like, Leon, keeping coaches for a long time like that, one of the things I learned in the Army is you never put yourself in a position where someone else is calling the shots, but you're the one responsible.
Thank you.
Right? When I was in the Army, I had a when I was in the Army, I had a captain. I had a company commander that wanted me to do diesel generator services every 40 hours instead of every 100 hours. Mm-hmm. And when it became cost ridiculous, and the lieutenant colonel came and was like, what the hell's going on in your company? He said, why don't you ask my generator mechanic? So I was like, I'm not, you know what? I got a year and a half left. You know, I took my oath, and when it's done, I'm getting the hell out of here, because and no coach wants to be in a position where someone says, do it this way, do it that way, do it this way, do it that way. And then when it doesn't go right, the person that's calling the shots is not responsible. So how much do you agree or I guess echo the sentiments of what Ashley's saying, let the coach do their job?
I mean, that's a big part of it, because what I'm really enjoying is some of these coaches that like 30-year resumes coming to me and saying, hey, I've been to seven clubs in Houston. I really want to get to my last club, and I've got about 4 or 5 that they've got that 20, way more years than I have. But what's going to happen is when they walk on the court at another club, the director is going to say, do it this way, more for the director's ego, just to say, like, I'm telling you to do it, so you're going to do it just because I said so. I'm the boss. I'm not like that. So I sit alongside of them. If I have something I want to push on them, I'd like to see you try this out. I'm going to just approach it from the mindset of, like, here's why I do it. Here's what I've seen. Here's what I see USA Volleyball doing right now with their athletes. I think it's a good method. What do you think? So it's kind of that dialogue. But the big thing I don't do that's been apart from me since the beginning is, if I see something I don't like, I don't address it right away, especially in front of their athletes. And that's a big thing that coaches have said is, like, man, the director came down in front of my 10 athletes and told me how much of an idiot I am. And I was like, are you kidding me? So not once would I do that, but after practice, hey, let's have a discussion, because there's something I saw I would like to see corrected, either for the culture of my club or the betterment of the athletes, and it's just been a good approach. I mean, it's like, I don't have any ego in this. Like, I mean, you have pride in it, and things like that, but, we all have our ways that we want to see things, done, but, like, that doesn't trump, especially the experience of someone that, has a professional playing, resume internationally, and this long coaching resume as well. Like, they've done something to get to that point. So who am I to walk up and just say, and come down on that, unnecessarily. So, and it's worked well. So I mean, like, my old timers, man, they're awesome. Like, they are so fun, and when I travel with them to tournaments, but they reciprocate that back and say, man, this is just, for 20 years I've done this, I've never felt this way, and Stars is where I'm going to retire. Like, I'll never leave.
God bless.
That's so cool.
Nice. Collin, something you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, because that's I really respect everything you've said, but there's situation, especially in our region, we're in New York, we don't have that luxury.
God bless.
Okay, what we have are a few volleyball players, okay, that want to coach, but they don't understand that you cannot coach all the kids. Let me stop using coach. You cannot teach all the kids the same way, because there's so many kids that are different in so many different ways. I don't even want to list them, because a friend of mine got fired because from his school, because he was having the same conversation with a group of kids, and a few of the kids took it personal because they honestly thought that he was, like, body shaming them. Okay, so there's so many psychological.
What did he say?
parts.
Hey,
Yeah,
baby, you fat?
no, he was just saying, yeah, he was just
You can't say
explaining
that
that
anymore. This isn't the 80s,
being
man.
an athlete, no, being an athlete comes in so many different shapes. It
Yes.
doesn't matter if you're tall, it doesn't matter. Once you're an athlete, you're an athlete. It's how you execute and learn and transition into the action that your mind is absorbing. How do you transition that? Do you let your mind control your body or let your body control your mind?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I stand in front of coaches and I meet with them and I get their bio and I look at their bio and I notice that a lot of them don't have coaching experience, I can't move to the next person because we don't have a next person
Right.
in
Yeah,
New York. You
and
understand?
I think look, I have a lot of non-volleyball players that listen to this, that follow this, and I just want to say to them, we get paid to coach, we don't get paid to care. Caring is free of charge. But I wanted to say that
Exactly.
I wanted to say that as a
Yeah.
caveat before I went back to what you were saying. Coaching and playing
Yeah,
are
man.
coaching and playing are two different occupations, all right? I've been coaching for 25 years, but I didn't learn till year 10 why the women's team I was coaching did everything I asked and they still sucked, right? It was and it just came from and Collin knows because I'm from New York, and New York we don't have people a Jedi master to squire under. We're players that are coaching,
Right.
and we know the X's and O's. We know how to play.
Right.
New York is I
Right.
mean, you look at men's open nationals, we're responsible for like 6 of the last 10 champions, so we can play, we can ball, but Colin's right. Colin said we had to figure out a lot of things as player coaches to make the full transition as coach. And Ashley looks like she wants to say something as far as them being two different occupations.
Yeah, well, yes.
No, but go ahead.
I'm going to kind of keep going because in my opinion, I think that there is a big gap right now in coach education. I think that obviously for
Right.
USA Volleyball or Southern California, we go on and we do our impact certification and we do the, sexual harassment education. But for me, like, I think there's a lot of coaches, and this goes back to my point where club volleyball is kind of turning into a money-making machine versus a servant mentality. And it's like, so they fill all these teams and then they just hire coaches that are players or they're young or whatever. And these people don't really understand the intricate details of how to teach, coach, and lead in a way that fosters holistic development and a good team culture where everybody's working together to accomplish the same goal. And so I think there's a big opening and opportunity for coach and teacher training in that, like, even if it's once a month where you're getting your coaches on a webinar and you're talking about like great things you've seen in the last month, a couple areas of improvement that you can give them to focus on, or different areas of practice planning and how to, maximize the 2 hours that you get to spend with the athletes. Cause that's another area. I think a lot of these coaches, especially team club coaches, they do not do a good enough service at individual skill development. And I actually coach private lessons at a facility. That's how I coach. That's how I know Chris Austin. I coach at his facility, private lessons. And the number of kids that come in and go, oh my God, I've never been taught this. Or the parents go, they don't get that at practice. To me, coaches need to be trained how to teach the
That's a failure.
individual and the team together. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Girl,
I
you,
think.
you hit those points right on.
Yeah.
oh, thank you.
I would also say, and Leon, I'm going to give you the floor for the next question, but I would also say there's an East Coast virtue that Collin has that comes from Bill Parcells. One, either you can do the job or you can't, right? And two, you are what your record says you are, right? So there are a lot. So one is really cold, and it's not necessarily true, and the other one is, I'll give you an example. Like, I'm a color commentator, right? There are a lot of people that might think Rich Lamborn's a better color commentator than me because he won a gold medal. He's not a better color commentator than me because they're two different occupations. Right? Yeah. You got guys coming up to you. He forgot more volleyball than you'll ever know. But that's not the question. The question is, can he do the job? Yes
teach?
Or no?
Right.
When I went to Jason Olive and I went to this club and he's like, what do you bring to this club? And I said, well, the last 5 years I have 13 kids that committed to play Division I. From 2018 to 2022, I had 13 commitments out of a 19-person group. And he's like, but can you do this job? He didn't want to hear about me pumping my own ego and talking about all these other stuff. He says, but can you do this job or not? And I said yes. And Leon, my question is, I want you to, because you obviously played as well. I want you to talk to the audience about the importance of understanding that coaching. Leave commentating out of this because right now I'm the only one doing that. But leave coaching. How coaching and being a former player coaching are two different jobs.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you disagree with that, then stop me right now. But if you want to echo the sentiment, do that.
No, it's 100% because I get a lot of people. I had a lot of success as a coach. Once I moved to Texas, I was doing 12s. And in my second year, I had the number 5 12s team in the country, which was like a lot of fun. And they're just phenomenal kids. But people would come up to me and they say, "Man, you must have been a great player." I was like, "Not really. Like I was a middle blocker at a D2 club team, and so I was short at 6'2". You know, it's like I just loved the game. You know, so." That didn't translate into anything other than just a love for the game. And I got into coaching and kind of like, hey, this is kind of cool. What really took off the coaching side was when I was in Seattle coaching in the Puget Sound region. Some of my players were like, hey, we're training with this guy on the side. Are you okay with that? And I was like, yeah, I don't care who is it. His name's Bill Neville. And I was like, okay, I don't know who that is. But yeah, so I get the chance and they said, well, come meet this guy. Go in and meet him, you know, and again, you know, I was just,
the man made a lot of Jedis.
Yeah.
That guy made a lot of Jedis, Leon.
Dude, that guy.
John Mayer. Yeah.
And I seriously, for the next 2 years, I spent every available moment I had right next to Bill Neville, just learning everything I could about the game. And what that turned into was like, dude, coaching this is it. Yeah. So me as a player, I enjoyed it because that's what I did. But me as a coach, it is completely separate, you know. So I do not hang any hats on my playing abilities.
Yeah. Let me tell you something.
It was just more about that. It was more about the beer, you know, in the bathtub.
Yeah.
And the qualifiers for club nationals and everything else. But,
so Leon, when I worked,
I get into coaching, it's like, man, this and getting the opportunity. So I tell people like, hey, I want to get into coaching. I'm like, find somebody that does it great and just stick with them. And so Bill Neville was my guy, man. I owe so much of what I did with him, and then going into the college ranks with Brad Sandin for a few years, just a crazy mind of the game. Kathy Gregory. So I got around these people that just were fantastic coaches and developed that love for coaching, and then also my own style within it. So completely separate, and you know, the coaching side. That's what I love. That's what I just dive into, you know. And now it's just turned. I want to see other coaches. Like I can't coach every kid in the club now, so I've got to pour into these young coaches and like you had said, they're like even the good coaches, they go to the other big clubs first. You know, those big top 20 clubs in the region that are close by. That's where they go first. So I get very inexperienced coaches. And so, again, that's why I need to keep them. You know, but we also try to train them up and say, I mean, I've got all my methods on how I train is all in a book that I hand them. You know, I mean, it's very well documented. And this is what I want to see. And if you're not sure, start here. And take that and run with it, and you'll get real far with just some basic fundamentals. I'm a real fundamentals, you know, type coach. But totally different. You know, coach, you know,
Leon, I had to look up Neville when I worked for John Mayer at LMU, the beach team, and we had a drill called
Neville's Pepper.
Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell is he talking? Man, I thought I learned some new stuff, man. I had to look it up, couldn't find it anywhere. And I went back to John. I'm like, what the hell do you mean by Neville? And like Aaron Mansfield was with us as well. And Aaron just goes, should we talk? You know, should we just make Jason
right
keep
now.
Looking? Should we make him just Betsy Flint? You know, so intolerant, just like, oh, geez, you know, this guy doesn't freaking East Coasters. I had a question for Collin, but something you wanted to.
I was just going to quickly reiterate. In my opinion, there's something to be said that there's a characteristic I think good coaches and teachers have that are constantly searching for new and better information to fill the toolbox so that you can reach into it and use it for different athletes or different situations. And it's a constant process of like, oh, I like what that coach did. I'm going to use that. I don't like that. I'm going to put that away. So I think that's awesome.
That's right.
Yeah.
The minute you stop, sorry, Jason.
No,
the minute
you go.
Stop putting stuff. The minute you stop putting information in that toolbox, that's the minute you need to stop coaching.
Amen.
Once you think you know it all, boom, step back.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's it.
Or that what you learned last week is going to be correct for the next 5 years. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
things
right.
change. You're not,
That's
right.
not, you know.
I took a tip from theater, which is my major. Lauren Bacall said acting is a lifelong process. She's like, at the time she's 84 years old and she was learning stuff. You know, she's literally learning stuff. So,
Yeah.
and the same thing,
Uh,
I think my degree in theater performance made me a better volleyball coach, and it was able to
That's
separate.
right.
It was
Be
able to
surprised.
separate the player from the coach. Be a coach, study what a coach is, and then become
Yeah.
that. So, right. So, are you a coach, Jay? No, I think I've once played one. So, this is a question for Collin first, and then I'll get Ashley and Leon back in. The tryout process. You got a kid there,
Yeah.
right? Now you got some coaches that line all the kids up against the wall, find out what height you are. You can be this, you can never be that. And those are my least
Oh
favorite
God.
coaches. And Bruce
Agreed.
Bruce White out of New Orleans said those are the coaches he fires on the spot right
Yep.
away. So we can skip that part because that's not what I'm talking about. Kids trying out in the process. What's one thing physically, Collin, or mentally? You can choose one, or you can even or explore both, or maybe give the other coaches a chance to explore both.
Oh my God,
What's the
Jason.
one thing? What's one thing you look for in the tryout process when you want this kid to make a team? Go ahead, Collin.
Okay, so this is it, and you guys are gonna be surprised. The stuff that I have to deal with is not the stuff you guys have to deal with in that extent. Maybe there's a little bit, but I guarantee you, one of the few things we look for is the clique, the friendship. Why are you here? Are you here because your friend is trying out and you're trying out with your friend to be a part of the team? We have kids leave that we have selected to go play somewhere else because their friend didn't get an offer, but they leave to go play with their friend, not because of the coach or what they're gonna get. Okay. It's very tricky here, which is why my evaluation process that we instill in the coaches or evaluate everyone
Yeah.
equally as much as possible. Okay. And then select them accordingly. We can't put them up against the wall and measure their height because everybody's the same height. Okay. We don't have middles in New York City anymore.
No.
The middles are a dying breed over here. Setters are a dying breed over here. Okay. Every single player in the gym are DSs and liberos and outside.
Learn how to play middle.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. But that's the thing.
Yeah.
And then we don't have the coaches that are willing to spend time and teach the kids. So every single kid that says yes gets signed right away. Because if they don't, they're gonna lose their spot somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Our region we said we're a small. What do we have? A small pond with a lot of big fishes.
Yeah.
A few. I don't know what the phrase is, but we don't have a lot of option to choose from.
Right.
Okay, so we get the kids, and when they come in, then the training and the teaching process start. Okay, and then we get. I don't want to be a middle. I don't want to be a setter. I said, we don't have a choice. We got to train everybody to set. We got to train everybody to play middle. We got and it's such a tedious thing. And the better kids, okay, even my daughter Jason, like you said, I had clubs, directors, and coaches calling me, tell me to send my daughter to them, even if it's just a tryout. Simply because if she goes to their club and try out, then other people are gonna think, oh, Olivia's going to this club to try out. Maybe we should send our kids over there too. Why is she leaving your club to go try? Man, don't even get me started on that because that's a whole nother story. And you guys touch a little bit of it when it comes on to the finance, the money part of it. If you have money and you're trying out for volleyball in New York City, you are a priority for every club.
What say you, Leon? Texas. What kids trying out for your team? They're going through this battery of tests, maybe physical test, and then the volleyball test. What are you looking for as you have your clipboard in front of you and checking boxes, and you decide to put the clipboard down? What makes you say I like that kid?
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of same evaluation process I used when I was a college coach. I mean, you definitely have the ones that stand out, good and bad. So it's like, I mean, and I do a lot of trial prep clinics where I'm like, stand out for good reasons because you can just as well stand out for the bad, but try to kind of see like where is the kind of the higher level athletes going, but then I want to see their attitude. I want to see how they interact with others. Like the kids that are in the cliques that are together, it's like, okay, are these required to be together? We might not look at them. We're trying to find out the kids are going to work well within our system. But I'm big on attitude. We had our first practice yesterday for my second location. We just started here in Katy, Texas, and the director for that site, he got in front of all the athletes, got them all together. He said, "Hey, first practice, but first things first, we are no drama. You want drama? I'll go help you find another club." So we, now year one, it was different. Year one, it's like anybody that was willing to accept me, I'm taking you, because it's like we needed to get something off the ground.
We take cripples. Nice.
Now we're able to stand up and say, like, this is our culture. This is how we train. This is how we act. We're not a drama club. We're not like parents chirping on every little thing. That's not how we operate. So if that's not going to work for you, then let's separate right now. But I want kids that are going to work hard, man. I'll take 10 kids that work hard over 10 kids that are the top athletes any day. Because at the end of the day, I can teach them volleyball, and I'd rather take a team that's here beat the team that's more athletic up here, because I've taught them how to understand the game, how to process what's on the court, what's in front of them. So I got my 12-year-olds go to their middle school coaches, because that's always hit and miss. And they'll teach their coaches rotations, because I don't teach my kid where to stand. I teach them why to stand. Not this person's next to me. It's like, this is a setter, this is a middle. So I got my setters at 12s, man. They're ripping rotations, just like, hey, scoot over that, you're overlapped over here. I mean, but I want smart kids. I want kids that understand it, that seem open to that kind of process of learning. And they got to be tough too. I'm a high discipline coach too, so I push them hard. So I want kids who are going to be tough, be in the gym, willing to take some intense criticism and go at that. But it's not the tallest kid that walks in the gym.
Yeah, I knew it was a matter of time before you asked any good coach where effort came into their mentality of the tryout process, right? Because it's one thing that a lot of coaches think you can't teach, or you can teach, but it's harder to teach, or if not impossible, right? But it's one of those things when you see a kid make effort, you're like, oh my God, I get to do my job. One less thing to worry about. So I'm glad Leon, I knew either Collin or Leon were going to tackle that before we go to Ashley on this one.
Yeah, really quickly, you said I teach them why to stand there, not where. And I want to add, I think a lot of coaches miss the not just what to do, but how to do it. Right. So I want you to pass the ball here, and you're going to do it doing it this way. Right. As far as tryouts for me, I miss the days that when I was trying out for club volleyball, where you just showed up and nobody knew who you were, and the best 12 kids got called, and that was that. And now I don't know what your process is like, where you're at, but a lot of times our teams are locked in 2 to 3 days before the tryout day, and it's the pre-tryout clinic process and all this. To me, it's nonsense, because people get to play the game, and then it leaves room for dishonesty. But for me, the 3 things that I really like to talk about is work hard, improve, and compete. So for me, the biggest thing I'll look for in a kid when I'm had them at a tryout or a clinic process is I'm going to quickly give them I'm going to get to know them a little bit, like, hey, what position you want to play, what's something you like to do at school or whatever. What do you like to do with your friends? And then I'm going to ask them, hey, can you make this adjustment? And I'm going to observe them for a few reps and throughout that process and see, did they listen? If they didn't, I'll go back and I'll say, hey, do you remember, do you understand what I asked you to do? Because a kid can work hard, but if they're not listening and working to apply what you're asking, so being coachable, you're also not going to get very far with them. So for me, those 3 things, understanding the importance of working hard, improving, and then learning how to compete. I got this really special compliment recently where this parent of a kid who was on my team last year was talking about how a lot of teams, when they play other programs, they play down to a certain level. And he goes, for whatever reason, you have this ability as a coach to make the kids or help them compete at a level that teeters above their midline or their normal, right? So we have very few drops and more. We're playing even and higher. So we're competing against those open level teams when we're not an open team. And we're sneaking sets and matches away from teams that we have no business beating. but it's because of the culture.
Right.
It's because of the grit and the mentality and the work that they put in. So
wow, boy, did I choose the right 3 coaches for this? Because
yeah, I'm having a blast
the other
here,
2
guys.
coaches can say the same thing. We're in some of these games where a lot of people think we have no business beating them. Colin's probably remembering a game like, that was 15-13, game 3 that could have went our way. It did go our way or it didn't go our way.
I had the same,
Yeah, I
had the
know.
same
I could
question
read
with
his
the
mind.
girls.
And Leon, I know you got
man,
a lot of freaking
I
stories
said,
to
you
tell
guys
about
had no
that.
chance. I said,
Yeah.
nope,
Yeah.
you had no
And
chance of winning
actually,
that team. You walk away
keying
going,
on
I
something-
think so.
Go ahead, Leon.
Keying on something great, which, interesting, could be just full sidetrack, is tryouts are more formality nowadays. I mean,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
the word tryout is not going to exist.
Not for Colin.
No, I use evaluation. I don't use tryout. I said evaluation.
Sorry, go
That's
ahead.
what I'm getting
Go
at.
ahead,
It's
Leon.
like, so, tryouts are getting earlier and earlier. Our tryouts for 14 was in June this year.
Yeah.
So, and I talked to, it's crazy. There was a director in Dallas that said his 11s team that was going to nationals, 7 of the 12 kids were already committed to another club before they even went to the nationals tournament.
That don't seem legal.
As a joke, I thought about this, like, next week I'm going to post my tryouts for like the 2028 season. It's like when is it? Where it's not. It's just, again, it's still a side conversation, but the way volleyball is going, the big business of volleyball, it's not in the benefit of the kids anymore, and that's. I don't know the answer to it, but I had my tryouts in June because that's when all the tryouts were. So it's like you kind of keep up with the Joneses on that. But I'm like, what is this madness? Because you're
I got a question
there to be on a 12s team, and then you're not going to see them again until November. And it's like, they're a 7th grader. They're going to their school team. They're going to get better. They're going to improve at different rates, and they're not the same kid that they tried out 5 months earlier.
Colin, what was your question?
My question was, the kids that you're talking about, you say you kids know where they're going and what club they're playing for. Do you still have kids coming to your club to try out, even though they know they're going to play somewhere else?
Typically, where we are, not necessarily. Most of the time, it's kind of
Well, they want same day commitments, right?
Well, it's once you make a verbal commitment, you are not going to any other club clinics or tryouts at the time of your commitment. So if we have tryouts on this coming Saturday and there's one more clinic tomorrow and you've given me your verbal commitment that you're with me, then you should not be at that clinic tomorrow before the tryout. So there are wiggle room.
World.
There's wiggle room though. And there has been kids and parents that pull that rug in the dark hour, last hour, and it's not great.
Well, that's what verbal commitment means. It's
right.
It's not worth the lips it's being spoken out of, my brother.
Jason, listen, man. We got kids. We have kids. I'm sorry. We have kids that know they're going to play for a particular club. They know. They commit to the club. But because they can pay the $100 or the $75, they go to 6 different tryouts. And all they do is cause some fuckery between all the other kids. Because they're technically the better kids.
Right.
They go to this tryout, that, and then all the coaches see them, and all the coaches make them offers, and they have 3 days.
But that's
hours.
At least you got 3 days. We got clubs in the South Bay. You have to, if you want to join this club, you have to commit to us now before you leave here.
Part of that though.
Can't do that here.
Part of that though is the trickle down effect. So what you're saying does happen here too, where the kids will go and we call it bid shopping, right? It's like you go chase your bid. It's chasing your bid for clubs, and a lot of these kids and parents and families need their back padded. Where if I get 5 offers, I get to choose. Well, to me,
oh my gosh, girl,
yeah, that's just a disservice to the kids who are actually looking for homes, who might not have homes if.
Thank you.
Right.
This podcast is going to light up, dude.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
I can't wait till
man.
people see this.
I'm telling you, hitting the nail.
Look at
right
Leon.
in.
Leon went.
I don't have a lot to say because I love what you guys are saying. Go ahead.
All right. So, wow. How do we even do that?
This is great.
So, for our tryout process, for me, I basically. I have my own personal policies that go from the club. Like for me, if I have a 10-person roster, or an 11 or 12 person roster, everyone on the team is guaranteed to play cumulative 1 whole set. Mm-hmm. So it's a competition club, and J.O.'s policy is if the best players play, and if you want to play, you have to win that via meritocracy in practice. But me, I give one player cumulatively one whole set. So they can play one set and sit the rest of the day, or play bits and pieces that add up to a whole set.
Right.
And what I do is I give them that one set and they're going to want more. And that encourages them more in practice via meritocracy. So,
Yep.
Jason was okay with it because at the end of the day, the net result is they're on the court because they deserved it, because they practiced hard enough to earn that, right? Like coaches, right? We all agree we ain't gonna put someone in the serve if they're in practice and they're missing position one serve wide all the time or long. You're not going to put them in a game just to see if they can do it, even though we do leave room for players we discover that are not practice players, that are actually players. So that's something I wanted to do as my own caveat that I think a lot of people agree with. Here's the third question. We're going on to onboarding. We're going to talk about parents and conversations. All right, your kid made the team, all right? Or the kid made the team, not your kid, but a kid made your team. Now you have a parents coaches meeting with the athletic director or whatever, or maybe the coaches are there, maybe the coaches aren't. Jo carries the water for me because I have a blood oath policy with him. If it's not about volleyball, I don't care. And if it becomes something other than volleyball, I'm out because I'm not trying to be brag or anything, but I got stuff to do. I got other things to do. So,
Yep.
So my own personal policy is I'm not required to be there, but that's not my question. My question is, as guys you two are in administration as well as coaching. So this is a great question for the two of them, and you hang in there. What are some of the things that parents have to know going into the season in regards to practices and tournaments? Leon, go baby.
I mean, one is we're going to send you emails and you need to read them and respond to them. I mean, it's not,
Communication.
High five. Where's that high five?
This is not AAU basketball.
Wait, that was real. We got a real one. Sorry. Go ahead. How did that happen? Go ahead.
I mean, like one of my gyms, we have a lot of AAU basketball, and that is just like all over the map. But with volleyball, it's like A, B, and C has to get done, especially with these qualifiers. Like, we don't get our hotels booked in time. I mean, it is a rush to get that stuff in, get it booked, get it checked off. Otherwise, they'll waitlist your team, and now you're like, cancel flights and backtrack and things like that. So try to stress to them the importance of, we're going to send you stuff, and it's going to be a lot, and it's not just for our own desire to press send on an email box. Like, there's very important information that needs to have, but I mean, thankfully, like, my different directors are super type A. So, I mean, like, they're sitting there, like, they're on these parents that, hey, you didn't do this yet. You didn't do this yet. But, I mean, it is a load. I mean, it is a lot of information that has to go out. And so we're trying to tell them, like, one, get your information done. And then, but then also just trying to be very, you learn over the years your policies that you adapt for the parents and, like, protocols and things like that. You get to the end of the year, hey, let's change this for next year. Let's change for next year. So, 9 years into, we feel like we have a pretty good relationship with the parents as far as, like, here's what this is, here's what is accessible to you as a parent, and here's a spot
Right.
where you just, like, it's not your space. Let us do what our job is, and give us the freedom to do that. And so,
Right.
we have full team meetings before season starts. 4 or 5 coach meetings before season starts. I mean, so it's but again, when you look at what volleyball is now, and that's a big business, it's like, I started out as a coach, and I really love coaching, but like now it's like I had to really learn what it is to run a business and do it well. It's the only way this is going to be successful. At the end of the day, if you're sitting there taking all this money and you're just like, hey, I cash a check, buy a new vehicle, I mean, it's like, that's going to squander away quickly. So I've had to learn and get my staff going, like, how do we run this as a business? There is competition here. If I don't like the restaurant I'm going to, I can go to the restaurant down the street, and it's going to treat me better. And so we've got to be good. So, like, I was at the League Apps conference up in New York, actually, 2 weeks ago, and they brought a guy in that runs, like, the #1 Zagat rated restaurant for, like, 16 years in a row. And some people are like, why is a restaurant guy talking to sports coaches? And I was like, glued in my seat, like, tell me how you treat customers in a way that they keep coming back.
Was it La Grenouille? Was it La
Grenouille? Yeah, right. It's the
Grenouille?
Parmesan cheese on top. Yeah, I mean, it's and so that's it's not. I wish it was only about the volleyball, but it's got to be about the other things, because
Right.
If you guys charging, we got to do it well.
All right, guys, if you heard a horn in the background, that wasn't Colin. That was I have a 1 minute countdown that I do for answers. So when I hear the horn, I want to see how
Right.
far over or under.
All right.
And normally I would have the actual ticker like on the podcast, but since we're using all 4 cameras, Leon, man, you are right on time, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You should run for office. You should be on the debate stage. And like that's time, and then you're finishing your last sentence. Ashley.
Yeah.
Parents onboarding meeting. Give me one, not a whole bunch of things, but give me 1 or 2 things that you make sure your parent, if there's something the parents need to know before the season starts in regards to practices and tournaments. Go.
You are not always going to agree with the decisions that I make. However,
That's right.
I ask that you respectfully respect my position as the coach, and please feel free within the time frame. So we have a 48-hour rule.
Yes.
Please adhere to the time frame, and then please feel free to contact me with any questions, comments, or concerns moving forward. So for me, I try to establish open communication lines, and so I can hear what my kids and what my parents have to say. And I make sure that they understand that open communication line does not mean that I'm going to acquiesce to whatever they ask of me, but that I will hear them and I will give my reasoning, so that at least, even if you disagree, there's an understanding, or I can explain my philosophy and why I'm making decisions that I'm making.
Colin, something. No, floor's yours. Same question.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Ooh,
No,
did you hear
I
the horn?
delegate a lot.
She's good.
I heard it. No, I delegate a lot, because we cannot do everything. So I delegate a lot. I put people in different positions, and then I manage them. Okay. One of the things that I like to do is I like to create a point parent for every single team. And then we have a club point parent. So things come down. And then I teach all parents that this is the chain of command. Okay. If you break this chain and you come to me directly, I'm going to direct you back to that chain of command. Okay. And it starts with the coach, then it goes to the point parents of that particular team, and then the point parents of the club. So we get 1 email instead of 100. Okay. We send 1 email out instead of an email blast.
Nice.
Okay. So these are some of the stuff that we try to do as much as possible. And we try to get everyone to understand that in order for us to be successful, everyone has to be on the same page. Because again, New York City, it doesn't matter how good you are. Everyone thinks you have to play because you're paying $10,000 to play volleyball.
Nice. Yeah. So
Okay, so it's difficult to tell a parent that.
All right, so I got a minute, and I'll just do it in the form of a story. Prior to LAVBC, I was coaching some kids out of Redondo called Evolution Volleyball Club. Now, in Redondo High School, they have a window where the parents look, and it's way above the ground, and they're looking down like a whole bunch of wise men, like they're going to consider you for whatever. So I walk in. No one's ever seen me before. I just moved from New York. I got my Yankee hat, right? So I waved to the parents, hey, how you doing? And they're just... right? So I run a drill called BS. Just bump set to 4, right? And then approach, and then take your hands and pitch the ball to position 5. So the kids think it's easy, right? So they're just like, this is a stupid drill. We have the skill. And then I'm like, just keep going. And then 25 seconds into it, next thing you know, the set is tight. Next thing you know, the pitch to position 5 is going to 4, right? Or going to position 1. Next thing you know, the set, the guy hits the net on the follow through in the set. So 60 seconds into this drill that they thought would be really easy, I was like, you guys ready to listen to me now? You want to understand the why? And then they're like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I looked up, and then the parents go, and that's the story I want to tell, and that's the point of the story. Now, I know there's a lot of studies that express the why is the most important thing in this and that. But to me, if you're gonna read a goddamn study, read the goddamn study, okay? So if you're gonna emphasize to the kids on the why, you can go 2 ways. You can make them go through the progression and then fix it, which the studies show that their self-correction they retain knowledge better from self-correction than saying do it this way, that way, or you can go the other way. So that was the point I was trying to make. So in regards to my parents, it's very simple. Coaches don't talk to parents, period. They talk to the athletic director. I have my own personal policy, because if the parents know I'm emotionally invested, then they'll know there's not a whole lot to talk about. But since parents are not allowed in practice, in this club, then I won't talk to him. Because if parents are in practice and your kid's not playing, he knows why. They know why.
Right.
If parents come to your practices, all of your practices, and the kid doesn't have enough playing time, they wouldn't dare. They wouldn't dare. Why isn't my kid playing? I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm like, yo, you know he sucks. This isn't delusions of grandeur. Just say it. Say it with me. He sucks.
Yeah.
Right? He sucks.
Yeah, but they don't admit to that. They don't see that. They see $10,000 check that they're signing or $8,000 check that they're signing.
But like I think what Leon was trying to say, it depends on the club. Like I just gave you two examples. Like I had an open door policy as a coach to parents because the parents came to practice. But now that they don't come to practice, nope, don't say nothing to me. Leon, sorry. Leon looked like he had something he wanted to say before we moved on.
No, I mean, I think you have a policy, and it's important to have a policy and one that you stick to. You know, I mean, and that got evolved over time. I mean, it's 48 hours, and then they have to wait a 2-week period for whatever resolution the coach and the player come up with, and it's the player that has to initiate the conversation. At 14U and above, it's the player that initiates. You want players to learn that.
Interesting.
Aspect. So at 12 and 13 is the period for the player. That. But 48 hours after the tournament, 2-week period to resolve, and then you can do another one, and then another 2-week period to resolve, and then the directors get involved. But it's a whole month before you will see one of us at one of those meetings. But you know, it's funny. We had a mom that was sitting there just in the corner, so has it been 2 weeks yet? Because you know, and then I need to do what? And then what do I have to do? And she's just like wanting the exact. And I said, and I'm like, what do you want? She goes, well, my daughter's happy, but I'm not happy. I was like, what are we talking? You know, I mean, it's just.
Well, looks like she ain't making the team then. Looks like she ain't gonna. You'll never play for me then, lady.
So the one good thing that came out of COVID was just like force, parents out of the gym. We generally don't close practices, but COVID, it was like, hey, limited number of people, so drop off and go, and it was amazing how. You know, those little complaints and emails just went silent.
Yeah, right.
It's a tournament.
I have a question for you guys as administration and directors, and you might have some different answers based on the coaches that you have access to. But I'm curious, the situations as far as displeasure of parents, how do you handle a parent complaint on a coach? And at what point or what is that complaint so drastic that you remove a coach from their current duties?
Oh, that's easy. I just had to do the same thing a few years ago because we have coaches' policies and we have a grid or a certain standard or what we expecting of the coaches. Okay. And if things get to me first before the coach come to me and said this happened or that happened or that happened, then I tell the coaches, I cannot have your back if you do not follow the process that we put in place for you.
Yep.
And if it happened multiple times, then obviously that coach don't care. Number one, they don't respect you as a director or as a leader, okay, because they're just doing whatever they want. So one of the simple thing is you never go to a tournament and walk away and leave your area messy.
Right.
Okay. And if you're the coach and you see that the place is messy and you allow the kids to leave, okay, and then if you stay back and clean it up, as far as I'm concerned, that's you not following protocol. All right. And if it happened again and again, and then I get complaints off the complaints and I speak to you about it, I cannot have your back because you're not following the process.
Interesting.
Okay. And then the other thing too is ego. If your ego is bigger than the kids that you're coaching, then we're not going to see eye to eye. Because I have coaches that are coaching kids that are 5'5" and think the kids are 6'5".
Yeah.
Okay. And I say, you can't coach a kid like that. All right. And then they get upset because they're not getting what they want as a coach. When it's not about you, it's about the kids that's in front of you. That's important. So these are little things that kind of will send me the wrong way and tell a coach to go. And if a parent is complaining about it, then I have to address the coach first and get that information from the coach. And then I'll address the parents afterwards. And then I'll call the coach and the parents together and get a feedback from both of them at the same time.
Nice. Leon, had your own thought or something you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the obvious, physical contact, we fire a coach. There's the super egregious things that you don't even tolerate. But it's like the subtle ones that are difficult where the parent is like, well, the coach is destroying my child's self-confidence. And you're just like, oh, boy. I mean,
that's a
goes
common
so
one,
many
man.
ways, and it's like, is your kid soft, like, or is there
Yes.
seriously
You could do
something going
volleyball
on
stand-up
there?
comedy.
So-
We all laughed at that.
I know, right? Yeah, it used to just be the ball and the coach. Now it's like, we got all the, other nuances. But yeah, if it's one parent saying the same thing over and over, and I even had a parent that complained about something, I was actually assisting that coach during that tournament. These parents
There you
don't
go.
always see my
Yes.
face. They'll see that they don't know who I am. And also I said,
Right.
you are absolutely wrong on your assessment of what's
Right.
going on. Because I sat there, watched the coach. I heard what the coach said. I have no problems with it. Well, then I got to leave your club. Well, good luck to you.
Bye.
But
Good
when
luck.
it's 7
Bye.
or 8 parents coming up and it's just like, hey, this is, we have had to step in on that. And then at that point, we're trying to say, okay, there's probably something else here. Like there's always going to be one or two in the crowd. But when it's 7 or 8 that are kind of saying the same thing, and it's like, hey, this isn't a coordinated attack. There's something seriously fundamentally wrong with this coach. We've got to evaluate. Is that coach still in line with the philosophies that we want? And you got to step in. And if it's not, you just have that respectful conversation. This is what we need. If we can't do it, then let's because I don't sign non-competes with my coaches like some clubs will. Like they're free to go anytime. They can leave next week if they want. It's a very
Wow.
open
Right.
policy that.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
Volunteers
if it
make the,
doesn't align,
make the
let's have
best
a good
warriors.
conversation.
You heard volunteers make the best soldiers.
Oh man, that's a good one too.
Yeah.
You're killing me, Jason.
Yeah, there's no volunteers on this
With
thing
kindness.
anymore, man. Okay, wow.
I appreciate those takes. I think Jason kind of knew where I was going with that. I had a situation where basically the parents brought up their concern that I could not coach a high level team. And a couple tournaments go by where we lost a couple matches. We end up improving in the rankings, even though we had lost, the opening tournament. And then we went over to Triple Crown in Kansas City and uprooted a top 32 team. And then I got fired after that weekend from the team. Because I just couldn't win. I'm a big believer, even with a talented team, that you want to get to a starting core because they'll develop chemistry and things like that. But especially at the beginning of the season in a club season that lasts 8 months, to me, in order to drive that meritocracy, you have to reward kids earlier and more often so that they want to work hard in practice. Because if you don't have those bottom 6 to 12 kids working their butts off to make those starting 6 better, you're not going to be at the top of your game. So I was making sub decisions and playing time decisions that a lot of people were like, well, that's not going to cut it. And I'm like, well, here's the deal. They're playing better with the decisions I'm making versus the decisions that you're telling me to make. And yeah, so I walked away and here we are today. But
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Well, I moved the keyboard behind you because I just let everybody know she marches to the beat of her own tune. So I moved the piano, the keyboard, and I was gonna go bum 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 bum. Leon, sorry.
I was going to say, you never know what goes on behind the closed door either. And we don't close door conversation with parents ever, because that happened to me when I was a club coach early on, that
Right.
the parents didn't like. Same thing. Didn't like what I was doing. They did a closed door meeting with the director, and it's like, you don't know if money's changing hands. I mean, who knows these days what's going on? And so many times,
Hey, careful, man. Careful.
You look at them wrong, and it's like the power parents. They do that at work, but they try to do that within a club. We got to do it with a club that doesn't allow that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Listen, anytime that you have a club, right, where you got a starting 6 and your core players and they're working it out, and you have something that has something, right? And anytime you're in a game where they put someone in the game that's not a starter or doesn't have a lot of playing time, and everybody on the bench and the starting lineup cheers when they come, like, hey, all right, like far out, you won as a coach.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. So here's the we have 2 more questions left. I want to talk about someone's volume is really high. It's echoing what I'm saying, so I'm not sure how to fix that. But as far as improvements, where in the last 5 years, because all of us have, I assume, have been coaching 5 years or more, where have you felt like you showed significant improvement as a coach on the club level? Now, you can answer this in regards to an age group. You can answer this in regards to boys and girls coaching. or you can answer this in regards to a strength that might be your same weak, that might be your weakness. Like my strength and my weakness is I personalize my work. Right. So I'm not sure where, if I show improvement in that, where it's going to decline the other if they're both married to each other. So, Colin, go first. Ashley second. Give me one thing where you showed significant improvement as a coach, within the last 5 years. Like Colin 5 years ago, Colin's today. What's up?
Patience.
Patience, man.
Yep. Nice. Cool,
For
man.
me, it has a lot to do with patience. I have to be very patient, especially working in this environment where it's becoming such a business more than the development of the players, where, I have to really get the dust settled, and then whoever is in front of me and in front of in my club, show a lot of patience to develop their growth and make sure they grow the right way. So when they leave, even if we don't win, they can leave saying, you know what, I got a lot better.
Here. Yep. Ash?
For me, it's been my ability to teach and develop setters, and therefore elevating my team. I was a middle in high school, and then I played outside right side in college, 6 rotations, and then finished as a middle blocker my senior year of college. So although I begged my coach to teach me to set, I didn't learn to set until as an adult playing co-ed. And then recently I've learned Chris Austin's way of setting with Setter College. So for me, and with that, I think the biggest thing I would learn is a lot of coaches, I think, look for really good hands early. I'm looking for the brain. I want the kid who's smart, who can figure out how to run an offense and why to run it a certain way. And then I can teach them the hands and the footwork and all the rest of it.
Right. Hey, let's go. Mr. Blazer, Coach Blazer.
Yeah, I think kind of like saying the patience. It's when I first started coaching, it was like, I am who I am, fit into my mold, and it's like, I don't create a 12-person individualized, but I do recognize that there's some kids that handle pressure differently, that handle toughness differently. Like some kids love it when I'm just pushing them and pushing like, let's go. And they love that environment, and some kids, they just, they want to talk about it. So I'm going to sit down, I'm going to say, hey, what do you see there? We're going to really get into the mental aspect, the visual side of what they're seeing, why they did what they did and things like that. And they love it. Like when I bring them off and they sit next to me and I have that side-by-side conversation. And what are you seeing out there? That energizes them. Some kids, like they couldn't care less, about that. They want to just hear they want to hear me get it energized and excited and push them to do something great, And so I've developed an approach that it's more malleable, I guess, versus, again, early on, it was like, you can't, if a kid quit, they're like, they just couldn't handle it, but that's not an approach that works for all, And so just, I want all kids to walk away loving the game,
Nice.
And just,
like
and being able to connect well with the kids because they're different personalities. So I think that's what makes the team unique.
God bless.
So
Can I add something really quick?
Go ahead.
I want to add something else I've really, especially coming out of COVID, that I've tried to work really hard at is making sure that within the first 15 minutes of a practice or a lesson that I've learned something interpersonal about them. And I've given them something to work on or improve on for that practice, because then it kind of sets the tone that I care, number one. And then number two, it gives them a focus for something that they can get better at.
Right. Look, I've been coaching for 25 years at the club level, the high school level, the NCAA level, Division 1 and 3, all the way up to professionals. And I couldn't believe how long it took me to understand the difference between girls volleyball and boys volleyball. This respect for the sisterhood and this respect for not calling out a girl that makes the rest of the team alienate her. The importance and the value is the common denominator of girls volleyball. Guys, you give them a kick in the butt, they follow a leader. Me and Colin, we're former players, right? If someone kicks you in the butt, you just follow the leader and you go. And from year 10, 15 years later, I've become a little better version of myself, understanding, hey, that's your sister. You don't talk to her that way in front of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'd rather have them all united hating me, but I need the importance that ship rides together is the single most important thing that I learned about girls volleyball, that I continue to be a better version of myself. So with the horn already sounding, instead of telling them to do something something, presenting them their options is important. And Leon will appreciate this one. For example, there's a ball that goes off of a player and the second person tries to pursue it. And then she stops in the middle of the pursuit, right? The old Jason would be like, you know, I'm not going to call any names. Or, hey, you got to keep going. Let's go. What are you doing? Or you can say this, and Leon, you'll appreciate this more than the other two coaches, or just as much. What percentage probability do you think you had of touching that ball? And she'll go 20%. I'm like 25, and she's like, how about 22? I'm like, cool. Here's my second question. What's the probability if you don't go at all? It's 0. So when you make kids answer their own question, and at the same time, you're not really clowning them. You're just making them make sense. And at the same time, you say it, and you're still saying it from an authoritative fashion, right? But you're not all the way up here like an a-hole like I am sometimes. My ego makes me talk from up here so much, which is a weakness, you know, huge weakness that I'm still trying to get over with. So I wanted to present that. So we have the last one is a 60-second lightning round, but we have one before this and we're out of here, okay? What is the easiest thing to teach in the age group you're coaching, Leon? Fundamentally.
Wow.
Out of the 6 fundamentals, setting, what's the one that comes at a player's fastest? Serving, setting, spiking, blocking, digging, or passing?
I say passing. I mean, like doing the little kids, it's all about the passing. So we get it going. I've come up with a method for like teaching the passing to do it well. Because if they can get the passing well, it just starts everything else really good.
Yep,
you know?
nice.
Serving is a tough one because there's so many dynamics at play for a kid that doesn't have the strength to get a ball over. So that's a whole, you know, kind of progress. But passing, we get those kids passing really, really well, really fast early on, and that's a great foundation.
Collin? Fundamental.
I mean, for me,
for your age, the age group you're coaching, what's the one that comes the easiest? As far as tweaking?
Right across the board.
Yeah.
Right across the board. First of all, I teach the kids to understand the most important skill in volleyball, and that's the ability to use your eyes. Okay. When you ask kids, what's the most important skill? What's the most important skill you could have in volleyball? They tell you passing, setting, hitting, serve. No, it's the ability to use your eyes. So I always teach kids, focus with your eyes, recognize what's coming at you. Think about what you're seeing, learn to process what you're seeing. So if I tell you, this is how you pass a volleyball. It doesn't matter how many times I tell you, but if I don't show you, it's like a whole different mindset. So one demonstration is always better than 1,000 explanations.
Are you talking
the ability to use your eyes.
So you're talking about watching the ball into your arms? Or are you talking about vision?
No.
Are you talking about vision of visualization? You're talking about something's in your vision that becomes your visualization.
Well, no, he's talking about what you're looking at too. Like, are you looking at
what
the person's body? Are you looking at the hand position? Are you watching to look for the peak of the ball's flight so that you know how it's going to come back down? That's what I heard from that.
I like it, but
that's exactly what it is.
Yep. Yeah, for me, I was gonna go first hit with Leon. First hit is the most important thing because you can't run an offense, can't learn how to set, can't learn how to hit if you can't have some kind of thing that goes within a setter's box where you can run an offense. But I really, really like Collin's thing, but I want to piggyback off of that. Vision to visualization. You see something with your eyes. Like, let's say I want a kid to hit a spot. They need to see the spot. Once it's in their vision, they don't have to look at it anymore because it's in their visualization, because people move all the time. But does the spot stay the same? The answer is yes. And that was piggybacking off of a point that you probably already made, but I like that.
That's not easy though.
No.
I don't know if I call it easy. That's
hard.
Because you can see the ball, but to see it and process well what you're seeing.
I'm with you on first hit. No, because the second question. No, but Leon, the second question is what's the hardest, and I went first on that one. So the hardest for me is vision to visualization. Yeah, and serve at every freaking level.
I think serving is the easiest.
All the way to the Olympics. All the way up to the Olympics. Serving is the toughest damn thing, man. From 10 years old to serving 25-0 to the Olympics to France, who won set 5 for the gold with 0 reception errors against the best serving team in the country.
Wow,
so how about that? So toughest thing, Leon, go.
Kind of what you just said there, keyed in on something I think is very, very difficult. That is, how do you create being down 24-22 and you're the server? How do you create that situational stuff in practice, the pressure of the moment, so that the kids when they're in that moment, don't fail. You know, I don't know, fail's not the right word, but don't get inside of themselves about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's
right.
like creating those
Dude.
pressure moments, creating that, hey, we got game point for a national, you know, to get a bid and go to JOs, and you're jumping as an outside hitter with that big swing to finish it for your team, third set of 14-13, and you put it away and you just, you know, full confidence. How do you create that in a practice setting? And that, that's been fun to wrestle through. That is challenging.
Ash?
For me, I think the most difficult skill to teach is blocking. I think it is there's so many details and small things that can happen and that do happen for you. Like it's your timing, it's your footwork, it's the approach line, it's the tightness of the ball. It's, you know, does the hitter have a live wrist, or are they going to hit straight? So for me, it's blocking. I think I can teach it a lot easier than I used to be able to perform the skill, because I see the game differently and can communicate it differently. But to me, that's the hardest by far.
Collin?
For me, it's processing. I mean, as a kid, as a coach standing on the sideline, you can process a lot faster because of your experience. But the kids can't. And when they're on the court, they see stuff at their pace. And it doesn't matter how much you call tip or you call line or you call roll. By the time the information get into their head and then transition into action, the ball is already on the ground. So processing is very difficult, I think, to get the kids to understand. And then, you know, just create an environment for me, just to, you know, what Leon was saying is, you know, I will have the kids run like 10 sprints and then say it's game point. Everybody go to the back line. You got one serve to make and it's a game serve. And they're gassing for oxygen. Okay,
like
and
it.
they have to make the serve. And I tell them, if you don't make it, you got to run again.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things to get them to understand how to process the situation or the position they're in. And that's where coach teaching is so important because, like you said, man, you have to find ways to create that environment. If you can't find it, hey, man, you guys got my information now. Reach out. Trust me,
Yeah,
I got
for
material
me-
that would blow your mind.
For me, I turn consequence into reward. Like to me, if someone gets
That's
an
right.
ace, they do a sprint. You know why? Because they get to beat the previous time of the other person, and then another girl. Next thing you know, the girls are like, "Can I go next?" The next thing you know, what was a punishment or a consequence drill for some coaches is now a reward, where the girls are begging you, "Can I go next?" And I'm like, "No, you have to earn it. You have to get the ace." And I'm like,
That's right.
wow, this guy is teaching girls to earn the right to do suicides or do.
Hey, dude, hey, man, if you can do that, man, that's amazing.
Ooh,
And
it's all
parents would
it's
see
all
me up
it's
there
all
like,
under the Yankee
oh,
hat,
this New
baby.
Yorker,
Yes.
he's a weird one.
Oh my God, we are.
Dude,
Man.
let me
We're
tell
just,
you,
we're
we
just all
don't have
kinds
that
of
luxury,
weird.
man.
Yeah.
We got to create some crazy scenarios just to get these girls to even
Yeah.
do what you're asking them to do.
But
Yeah.
Got to be creative up here.
I like what Leon said about a half hour ago about players intellectually processing stuff. Like a smart
Right.
player that gets it is gonna eventually outlast some
Shoot
of
off.
these athletes or whatever. And this and that.
Yeah.
And Colin, you know, I was coaching in New York before I left. I was coaching Hunter High School, right?
Mhm.
Which brings new meaning to the term smart kid school. They lead the
Yeah.
nation. This school leads the nation in cumulative SAT scores and Ivy League application
right.
acceptance for
That's
15
right.
straight years, number one. And eventually I'm like, yo, if these kids can't win a PSAL under me, I shouldn't be coaching, you know. And they made me look good. 38-1 record, blah blah blah. So last round is called the lightning rounds. These are non-volleyball questions, and we got 60 seconds combined to knock them out. Everybody ready?
Born
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. And we're gonna go around the horn clockwise. So it's gonna be Ashley, Leon, and then Colin, then me.
Okay.
All right, go. Favorite comedian?
Dane Cook.
Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart.
Dave Chappelle. Last good book you read?
The Gift of Fear by Gavin DeBecker.
Mm.
Free to leave from that three.
Oh, was she to leave? Go.
Where's my mother? Written by me. It's on Amazon. You guys should go check it out.
Ooh.
Oh, nice. Mine is Hate Inc. written by Matt Taibbi. Marvel or DC?
Oh, Marvel.
Ooh.
Leon?
Marvel, dude.
Leon?
Yeah, Marvel.
I go Marvel. Pool or
Marvel.
beach? Pool or the beach?
Beach.
Don't ask me that.
If you saw beaches, you know I'd say pool.
Give me the beach any day, man.
I was in Santa Barbara. I was in Santa Barbara, so I moved from Santa
Yes.
Barbara to Houston. You go to Galveston Beach, man. It's just not the same.
New York, I was pool. Now I'm in Hermosa Beach. I'm the beach.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Harry Potter.
Lord of the Rings.
Sorry, guys.
Lord of the Rings. Good Lord.
Lord of the Rings, man.
Good Lord.
I don't really like Lord of the Rings at all.
Bourbon, vodka, or tequila?
Ooh,
Vodka.
Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond.
Vodka.
Bourbon.
There we go. Favorite sport outside of volleyball, be it spectator or player?
Oh, outside of volleyball?
Ashley, go.
Football?
Ultimate Frisbee.
Frisbee. Ultimate Frisbee. Go. Go,
Track
Leon.
and field.
Track
Mine
and
is
field.
mixed martial arts. Favorite action film star growing up?
Action
Wow.
film star? Probably.
I'll go first. I'll go Arnold.
Does
Jesus.
Bruce Willis count?
Absolute. Die Hard? Yes. What?
That's my answer.
Leon?
Yes, gotta be Arnold, man. He's into big ones.
Jackie Chang.
Jackie Chan. Yes.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
That's Chris Tucker.
Well,
yes, and
it's
Jackie Chan.
Same
That was a
No,
good
yeah,
one.
Yeah.
Jackie Chang actually did it back to him.
Here I am, Michael Jackson, and you are Toto. Man, that's Tito. Toto's what we had for lunch. All right, so guys, let's plug our website, our IG handle. People want to know more about your club or what you've been up to. Ashley, you go first. Go.
You can find me on Instagram at Coach Ashley C.
Collin.
Oh, All-Star Empire Volleyball Director at gmail.com or allstarempirevolleyballclub.org.
You give me a Leon at HoustonStars.org. Our website is HoustonStars.org.
Cool. And I'm Jason DeBeas, but LA Volleyball Club is very easy to find. Google search Los Angeles Volleyball Club. It's 22,000 searches a day. It's very easy it pops up. Google's our friend for LAVBC, but not my friend when it comes to my conspiracy rabbit holes. So for all of you at home, these coaches might love you, but me, I don't love any of you. In fact, I can't stand you, all right? In fact, we're out of here. So for all of you at home, for all of you on your desktop, for all of you on your iPhones and iPads, for Collin Henry out of New York City,
Respect.
for Leon Blazer out of Houston Stars, for Ashley out of the South Bay representing Surfside, I'm Jason DeBeas, LAVBC. This is episode 192 of The Option, and we are out of here.
Out. Peace.
Come check out The Option Podcast on optionvb.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube under the NYVarsitysports handle. You're going to love what you hear. It's hard surviving the mean streets of Hermosa Beach.
I hear that, man.
All right, so